Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today, we're about to discover what happens when Jack and Tu Tien's greatest dream suddenly turns into their biggest disappointment. After receiving heartbreaking news that threatens everything they've worked so hard for, an unexpected visitor arrives at their door the very next morning. Could this mysterious person bring new hope, or the greatest challenge of their journey? If you enjoy emotional stories like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you never miss our upcoming videos. The cheerful atmosphere that had filled the little house only moments earlier slowly faded away. Just a few minutes ago, Jack, Tu Tien, and Uncle Phuong had been talking excitedly about the future. They had imagined a peaceful farm, a cozy family home, a new beginning where every day would finally have meaning beyond simply surviving. But now, everything had changed because of one unexpected phone call. Jack remained standing in the middle of the room, his phone still in his hand. His eyes were fixed on the floor. His face had lost every trace of the smile he had worn only moments before. Tu Tien quietly walked closer. She didn't ask immediately. She knew Jack well enough to understand that something serious had happened. After several long seconds, she gently touched his arm. "Jack, what happened?" Jack slowly looked at her. For a moment, he seemed unsure how to explain everything. He took a deep breath before speaking. "The landowner just called. They said there are new legal procedures that still haven't been completed. The transfer can't happen as scheduled." Silence filled the room. Uncle Phuong frowned. "I thought everything had already been settled." Jack nodded slowly. "So did I. But apparently there's another document that still needs approval. Until that's finished, we can't move in." The excitement that had carried everyone through the entire morning disappeared almost instantly. Tu Tien forced a small smile. "It's okay. If it's just paperwork, maybe it won't take too long." Jack wanted to believe that too, but something in the caller's voice told him otherwise. "It could take weeks. Maybe even longer." No one spoke again. Outside, the afternoon breeze continued blowing gently through the small garden. The vegetables that Tu Tien had lovingly cared for swayed peacefully in the wind. Nature remained calm. Only the hearts inside the little house had become heavy. A few minutes later, Uncle Phuong quietly excused himself. "I'll go prepare dinner. You two should talk." As he walked toward the kitchen, Jack and Tu Tien remained sitting side by side on the wooden bench outside. Neither of them looked at each other. Both were staring toward the empty road ahead. It was the very road they had imagined driving down soon, with all of their belongings packed, with hope, with excitement. Now, that future suddenly felt much farther away. After a long silence, Tu Tien spoke softly. "I already imagined where we'd plant the mango trees." Jack smiled weakly. "I know. I even measured the place for the chicken coop." She laughed quietly. "And I already planned where Grandma's flower garden would be." Jack looked toward the sky. "I was already thinking about building you a small greenhouse." Tu Tien lowered her head. For the first time that day, neither of them could continue talking about their dream, because every sentence reminded them of what they might lose. The sun slowly began setting. Orange light spread across the sky. Normally, this was Tu Tien's favorite time of day. She loved watching sunsets, because they always reminded her that every difficult day eventually came to an end. But today, even the beautiful sunset couldn't lift the weight inside her heart. Jack finally broke the silence. "I'm sorry," She immediately turned toward him. "Why are you apologizing?" "I promised we'd start our new life soon." "I really believed everything was ready." Tu Tien gently shook her head. "This isn't your fault. You worked harder than anyone. You did everything you possibly could." Jack sighed. "I still feel like I let everyone down." She reached for his hand. "You didn't. We're still together. And that's the most important part." Jack looked into her eyes. Even though disappointment was visible there was still trust. That trust made him feel even more determined not to give up. As evening arrived, they all gathered around the dinner table. The meal was simple: fresh vegetables, rice, a small bowl of soup. Normally, they would chat happily throughout dinner. Tonight, the room remained unusually quiet. Uncle Fuang noticed everything. After taking a few bites, he gently smiled. "You know, when I was young, I lost almost everything twice." Jack and Tu Tien both looked up. He continued slowly. "The first time, I thought my life was over. The second time, I realized something. Dreams don't disappear because of one delay. They disappear only when people stop believing in them." His words lingered in the room. Jack lowered his head thoughtfully. Tu Tien quietly listened. Uncle Puang smiled warmly. "If this farm truly belongs in your future, it will wait for you. Maybe not today, but someday." Jack nodded. "I hope you're right. I know I'm right. Because I've seen how hard both of you work. You've earned this dream. No piece of paperwork can erase that." Those simple words somehow eased the heaviness inside the room. Not completely, but enough for everyone to breathe a little easier. Later that night, Jack stepped outside alone. The stars were beginning to appear above the quiet countryside. He stood silently beneath the night sky. His phone remained in his pocket. He kept replaying the afternoon conversation over and over in his mind. Every possible solution, every possible delay, every possible risk. Behind him, the front door slowly opened. Tu Tien walked outside carrying 2 cups of warm tea. She handed one to Jack without saying anything. The two of them stood together beneath the stars. Neither spoke for several minutes. Sometimes, silence between two people who truly understand each other says far more than words ever could. After a long pause, Tu Tien quietly asked, "Do you think we were just hoping for too much?" Jack didn't answer immediately. He stared into the distance, watching the faint lights from neighboring houses flicker beneath the quiet night sky. His fingers tightened slightly around the warm cup of tea. Finally, he spoke. "I don't think we hoped for too much. I think we finally allowed ourselves to believe that happiness could actually happen." Tu Tien lowered her eyes. A faint smile appeared on her lips, but it carried more sadness than joy. "Maybe that's why this hurts so much." Jack nodded slowly. "When you've spent years struggling, you get used to disappointment. But once you begin believing again, every setback feels much heavier." Neither of them spoke after that. The gentle wind carried the scent of damp soil through the air. Somewhere nearby, crickets chirped steadily, as if reminding them that life continued moving forward no matter what happened. Jack finally reached for Tu Tien's hand. His voice was calm. "This isn't the end. It just isn't happening the way we expected." She looked at him. "You still believe that?" "I have to. If I stop believing now, then everything we've worked for loses its meaning." A small tear rolled down Tu Tien's cheek. She quickly wiped it away before Jack could notice. But he had already seen it. He gently pulled her into a quiet embrace. For a long moment, neither of them needed to speak. Sometimes, being together was enough. The next morning arrived much earlier than either of them expected. Neither Jack nor Tu Tien had slept well. They quietly prepared breakfast without their usual laughter. Even Uncle Puong could feel the change. Still, no one mentioned the phone call again. Everyone seemed to agree that dwelling on disappointment wouldn't solve anything. After breakfast, Jack grabbed a notebook and began reviewing every document related to the farm. Purchase agreements, receipts, permits, application forms, anything that might help him understand what had gone wrong. Tu Tien sat beside him, organizing papers into neat piles. "If we can fix it, we'll fix it." Jack nodded. "If there's another form to complete, I'll complete it. If someone needs another signature, I'll drive there today. If it takes another month, I'll wait." His determination slowly returned, not because the problem had disappeared, but because giving up had never been part of who he was. Hours passed, phone calls were made, emails were sent, questions were asked. Unfortunately, every answer seemed to lead to another delay. The approval process would simply take time. There was no shortcut. By late afternoon, Jack finally placed his phone on the table. He rubbed his forehead in exhaustion. "We've done everything we can. Now we just have to wait." Waiting. It sounded simple, but sometimes waiting was the hardest thing anyone could do, especially when your entire future depended on it. Tu Tien poured him another cup of water. "You've done enough for today." He smiled faintly. "I just hate feeling powerless." She looked at him gently. "You aren't powerless. You've already built something much bigger than a farm." Jack looked confused. "What do you mean?" "You built hope. You gave all of us something to look forward to. No delay can take that away." Her words lingered in his heart. Maybe she was right. Dreams weren't measured only by how quickly they came true. Sometimes they were measured by how willing people were to keep walking toward them. As evening approached once again, the little house became peaceful. Uncle Phuong watered the vegetables in silence. Tu Tien harvested a few fresh herbs for dinner. Jack repaired a loose wooden fence that had been leaning for weeks. Life continued, not exactly as they had planned, but it continued nonetheless. After dinner, the three of them sat quietly outside. The stars slowly appeared above them. Uncle Phuong suddenly chuckled. "You know, when I was your age, I thought every delay was a disaster," Jack smiled. "And now? Now I realize sometimes life delays good things because it's preparing something even better." Tu Tien laughed softly. "That's a very optimistic way of looking at it." The older man shrugged. "Growing old teaches you patience." Jack looked toward the road leading to the house. "I hope patience pays off." It usually does. The night grew quieter. One by one, the lights inside neighboring homes went out. Jack and Tu Tien prepared to head inside. Just before reaching the front door, a distant engine could suddenly be heard. At first, neither of them paid much attention. Cars occasionally passed by the small countryside road. But this one sounded different. The engine grew louder, closer, slower. Then, bright headlights appeared at the end of the narrow road. The vehicle wasn't passing by. It was turning toward their house. Jack frowned slightly. "Are we expecting anyone?" Tu Tien shook her head. "No." The vehicle continued rolling forward before finally stopping directly outside the front gate. Silence returned. The engine shut off. No one moved. Jack instinctively stepped in front of Tu Tien. Uncle Puong also stood up from his chair. All three of them stared toward the unfamiliar vehicle. The driver's door slowly opened. Someone stepped out. The figure stood beneath the soft glow of the headlights. For just a moment, none of them could clearly recognize who it was. Then the person took a few slow steps forward. Jack's eyes widened. Tu Tien covered her mouth in complete shock. Neither of them could believe who they were seeing. The familiar face standing quietly outside their gate was the last person either of them had expected to see. Jack whispered almost unconsciously, "It can't be." The mysterious visitor smiled gently as the screen slowly faded to black. Jack and Tu Tien's dream of moving to their farm is suddenly threatened by unexpected legal delays. The joyful atmosphere in their home turns quiet as they struggle with disappointment and uncertainty. Although Jack feels responsible, Tu Tien reminds him that their hope and love remain stronger than any obstacle. Uncle Puong encourages them not to abandon their dream, explaining that delays do not mean failure. After making countless calls and reviewing every document, they realize they can only wait. Just when they begin accepting the setback, a mysterious vehicle stops outside their home, bringing an unexpected visitor and an uncertain future.